Hello. So, where are you losing your power in terms of conflict or misalignment? We have this in engineering, slows down elevators or slows down equipment if we don't balance and align ourselves. I had a client the other day, asked her where she's losing her power or potential power, and she has this ability to network and connect with a massive amount of people. She works as someone who's got a high profile position. She goes to a lot of events. It's part of her job. Yet she hasn't sort of started building that collection of connections. And when you look at her and talk about her, it's funny. My nan would describe her the same as her mum does, which is spunky. She's spunky. And we were laughing because that's a word my nan would say about her. She's bubbly, she's funny, she's quirky. She's a lovely young 19-year-old woman, and she's in this environment, probably the demographic of sort of 40, 50-year-old men. But she was holding back for some reason on building this brand network, and found a little bit of resistance in networking. And one of the things, I had this blog called The Antiseptic of Authentic, because some of the times we resisting stepping into things. Like, I'm like this with sales because of a fear of being a certain way, or we find that we've got to be someone different. We find that we can't be ourselves. It's almost like we've got a story that I'm all right in this situation with these type of people, but these other people I've got to pretend to. I've got to, be like the Wizard of Oz and just put on this act. And it's bullshit. And what happens is we have to change where we're coming from and how we see it. And as soon as you do that, there was a really good story about a guy who's stuck and paralysed in moving because he's in a corner and there's a snake, and he's fearful. He's at a point where he's sort of locked in with fear. And what happens is when someone turns the light on, what he realises that wasn't a snake, that was a bit of rope. But with insight, it changes everything, this paradigm shift. And with this kiddie, when we looked at authentically who she was and who she had to be in that moment, she realised that she had all of the right to be exactly how she was. And it actually worked out. All of the relationships she got, we think, was because she was exactly herself when she spoke to them. They liked that about her. But it was her in her own head that stopped her from building and making more relationships, because maybe other people weren't so open and warm. But that changing where you're coming from in perspective is just a bit like, sanding this, bit of wood or bit of metal and taking all of the friction off of it, so you just flow and you move, and without any resistance. And there will be things that are stopping you from being more powerful at stepping into certain situations, and promotions, and this, that, and the other, where you're coming from is getting in the way. Your perspective of it is getting in the way. So just have a think. I do a 90-minute deep dive diagnostic session. It's online. It's £147 at the moment. If that's something that you'd like to drop in and use on a session, or anything that come up in these 30 days life engineering videos, then I'll put a link in the description. Take care.